from Anthony Joshua publicly crying after losing to Alexander Usyk, Zhilei Zhang ruining Joy Joyce's dreams of a shot at the world title. There have been some great upsets in boxing over the years. Let's start off with Anthony Ruiz Jr. reigning over Anthony Joshua's parade. No one thought Ruiz, a relatively bigger Mexican boxer, had a chance against Joshua, a much smaller British star on the rise who had been fighting in front of 90,000 fans in Britain. But Ruiz stunned Joshua with a barrage of punches that made him stumble and fall to the ground more than once. By the end of the fight, the mostly pro-Joshua crowd had gone from being excited to being shocked. In the third round, Joshua got the first knockout with a sharp left hand, but after that, Ruiz did most of the damage. After Joshua got back up on his feet in the third round, Ruiz put him out twice with left hooks that led to a flurry of punches. The 33-year-old was knocked down for the second time in the round, but the bell saved him. In the seventh round, Ruiz again threw several punches, starting with a left hook that knocked the Brit down. Joshua fell again about 30 seconds after the first time. He stumbled to his corner and put his back against the ropes. After a short talk with Joshua, the judge called an end to the fight, and Ruiz's team rushed to the ring to celebrate. This fight at Madison Square Garden was meant to be Joshua's big debut in the US, which would help him become more famous outside of his home country. Instead, it was an embarrassing loss. Joshua seemed to be looking past Ruiz, and he seemed to be using the fight more as a way to build his brand for a dream mega fight with Wilder, who's never lost a fight. It wasn't only Andy that surprised everyone. Zhilei Zhang also did the unthinkable. Joy Joyce fought Zhang, who's also an ex-Olympian, in his most recent hard-hitting match. Fans and experts were excited to see the fight between Fury and Fury this summer before the fight, but his well-known ability to take abuse ended up being his downfall. Zhang's ability to land flush hurt his eye, so a doctor had to stop the match in the sixth. Zhang hit his opponent with a big right hand in the middle of the second round, shocking him and the crowd. The first part of the fight was boring, but Joyce came back strong in the second round, and in the third round, he chose to fight blow for blow and use his famous chin. Joyce's eyes started to get bigger as the rounds went on, and Zhang's left hand kept getting him the upper hand. Even though Joyce was ready to keep going, he lost the fight and his mandatory spot with the WBO because he hurt his eye. Medical staff told the judge to stop the fight in the sixth round. After years of hard work and uncertainty at the top of the heavyweight division, Joyce was devastated to lose for the first time as a professional. And as a good professional, he paid his respects to Zhilei Zhang. He said it was a good fight, but Joyce could have done better, probably because he hasn't faced a southpaw in so long. Zhang deserves credit for being a good boxer. It's just sad, right? Joe thought he'd win like he usually does, but the Chinese boxer had different plans for him, and Anthony Joshua makes a comeback in this list. Yes, he's been upset by Alexander Usyk too. Joshua was freely looking towards the winner of the next fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, which is when Usyk beat him. Joshua, a power puncher from London and one of boxing's most significant global stars, was behind on the judges' scorecards going into the final rounds of his heavyweight title defense against Alexander Usyk. He had lost rounds early on to a smaller, smarter opponent, but Usyk was the last act. At this time, he was 34. The Ukrainian had never lost before this game. He hit a left and a right early on, which quieted the crowd at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, which was packed to capacity. Late in the 12th round, Usyk knocked Joshua down with a left hand. As the final bell was about to ring, Joshua fell to the ropes after a series of punches from both hands. Usyk said that the fight went just the way he thought it would. Anthony pushed him a few times, but it wasn't anything special to him. Usyk is a smart southpaw, showed up with better footwork, and won the first 3 rounds by finding the best angles and then hitting punches. In the first round, a straight left caught Joshua's attention. In the third round, a left to the head brought Joshua to his knees. Usyk said that his early success made him want to put on more pressure, but then he thought about his plan. In the end, it was the Ukrainian that silenced all of London. Usyk and Joshua showed how quickly things can change in the heavyweight division. After the fight, it was imminent that the Brit would go for a rematch. And guess what? He got upsetted again the next year by Alexander. I feel like this video is becoming all about Anthony, but but not my fault that he's been on the receiving end so many times, right? He lost by split decision. When asked about how he did at the news conference after the fight, Joshua wasn't proud of himself at all and was as upset as one can get. The two-time world champion then put both hands over his face and took deep breaths. He said that the pressure and intrusion he faces come at a price. Joshua lost his cool right after Usyk was named the winner. He threw two of the champion's belts over the top rope of the ring and then got into an argument with the other team. The Brit let his anger take over him and let his heart do the talking rather than using his brain. You might do stupid things when you're angry. That's exactly what AJ realized. It's just a game. Usyk said that he had nothing but respect for AJ. He did funnily warn Joshua about his actions though. Usyk said that AJ wouldn't want a bare knuckles fight with Usyk's teammates because most of them are bad street fighters. Joshua's manager, Hearn, spoke out strongly in favor of his boxer. "I want my kids to look up to this person," he said. "One thing's for sure, and that's the fact that AJ has a pure heart. When he's in public, he talks and entertains everyone. What you saw was feeling at its purest, a real person who desperately wanted to win. For the 33-year-old, the hunger wasn't going to die away so soon, and the last one is a true definition of an upset. When Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao, the entire world was shocked. Jeff the Hornet Horn surprised Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao by winning the WBO welterweight title with a controversial majority decision. Pacquiao's career recently dropped to 59-7-2 after the loss. Horn stayed unbeaten even though he was a big underdog. The 29-year-old Aussie raised his record to 17-0-1 in front of his home country's fans. Pacquiao took two blows to the head which cut him open. He was able to keep fighting, but he fell in an unexpected way. According to ESPN, Pacquiao had a clear advantage in how many punches he threw. Horn looked like he was on his last legs, and the referee told him before the 10th round that he would stop the fight if he didn't get his balance back. However, Horn hung in there long enough to pull off a huge upset. Even though Horn did much better than most experts expected before the fight, the main story was that Pac-Man might have been robbed. Even though Horn was considered a weaker opponent for Pacquiao, Pac-Man gave Horn his best chance to win. Horn was the fan favorite, so he had a lot of weight on him. But Pacquiao had been in similar situations many times in his career, but that experience wasn't enough to beat Horn, which made people wonder if Pacquiao still has what it takes to keep fighting at a high level. Even though Pacquiao was in good shape, Horn won a big fight that gave him a lot of name recognition and chances to fight big names in the years to come. And that's all from me on the greatest recent upsets in boxing.